Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rob. Welcome back to The Savage Body. Today I'd like to reintroduce a segment I like to call Sacred Beef. We're gonna look at the research, we're gonna fire up the logic brain, and we're gonna turn a sacred cow into a huge steaming pile of sweet, delicious, sacred beef. What's the cow, you might ask? Foam rollers. This is a foam roller. It's a big chunk of foam, and it's shaped like a roller, and yep, that's a foam roller. You might be amazed at some of the claims people make about foam rollers and what they do. Unfortunately, I think a lot of these claims come from people that don't know what humans are, or what biology is, or how reality works. Some of these claims probably come from the same sort of people that think you can drink a special kind of tea before you go to bed, and then when you wake up in the morning, you poop out belly fat. I think it's the same kind of people. These are the kinds of people that think that you can roll out cellulite and it'll just go away, because your body's made out of pizza dough. Oh, I'm gonna go roll out my leg lumps so my legs look as smooth and beautiful as David's marble gams. Oh, so nice. Oh, so nice, except that's not how the human body works. That's not how anything works. I have before me a meta-analysis, which is a study on studies, entitled A Meta-Analysis on the Effects of Foam Rolling on Performance and Recovery, by a fella named Wiewill Hoover. Wiewill, published all the way back in 2019. I remember 2019, back in the good old days. Remember that? Remember that? Remember these things? And then 2020 happened. After screening out the dross, the researchers ended up with 22 peer-reviewed studies that fell into two broad categories. 14 of the studies focused on pre-rolling, or rolling before exercise. 7 of the studies focused on post-rolling, or rolling after exercise. Let me tell you about the results. Pre-rolling produces a small acute improvement in sprint performance. And by small, I mean, of course, that 58% of the population is likely to experience a 0.7% improvement in sprint performance. Another way of saying that is, hey, if you're lucky, you might barely notice any improvement whatsoever. If you're an elite athlete, a 0.7% improvement in your sprint performance could be the difference between silver and gold, between placing and not placing at all, between eternal glory and dying nameless in the streets like an urchin. So if you are an elite athlete, might be worth looking into. But for the rest of us regular Joes, I would say save your time. There are a million other things you can do that are gonna be way more beneficial than that. Also, it bears noting that the authors of this study suggest that the tiny improvements may actually be the result of statistical errors or faults in the research conducted itself, rather than an actual mechano-physiological improvement in sprint performance. Which is to say, it might be even less effective than 0.7% in 58% of the people. It might be 0% in 100% of the population. So there's that. If you're pre-rolling to improve your flexibility, 62% of the population is likely to experience small acute improvements in flexibility and range of motion. How much of an improvement, they don't really state in the study. However, since the data doesn't blow anybody's mind, they don't really remark on it in the study, it's fair to assume that the improvements that you get from foam rolling are equal to or less than traditional static stretching. Now, as a side note, static stretching before working out is gonna make you weaker. Research is in on that, that one's clear. They do find that if you use the foam roller before working out to improve your flexibility, it doesn't also seem to come with a decrease in strength. So this is a better way to improve flexibility before working out than prolonged static stretches, which are terrible. And they're stupid, and you can still do them, and that's okay, but they're not good. In the study, they also looked at the effects of pre-rolling on strength and power. What do you think they found? Take a guess. No benefits! Foam rolling doesn't do anything for strength or power. I mean, it was only 14 peer-reviewed, internationally published research studies that they looked at. It wasn't 15. But I think that's pretty solid evidence in support of the null hypothesis. Then again, the ocean of research is infinitely deep and full of all sorts of interesting little critters. Who knows? Maybe someday they're gonna do a research study and they're gonna say, holy crap, foam rolling before working out turns you into Phoenix Jones on PCP. So pre-rolling seems like more or less a waste of time, especially if you're already doing a dynamic sports-specific warm-up, in that it's basically like wearing a hat on top of a hat, or it's like taking branched chain amino acids when you're already taking a normal whole protein supplement. Don't be one of those guys or girls that takes branched chain amino acids because they're told they need to when they're already taking a protein supplement. If you're taking a protein supplement, you don't need BCAAs. The research is very clear on that. Stop being a sheep. Stop wasting your money. Spend that money on Savage Body merchandise. But what about post-rolling? Rolling out after working out does seem to assist with recovery. Or does it? Not so sure. Something like 60% of the population will experience accelerated recovery of strength and sprint performance when using post-rolling to the tune of something like 3.5%. If you foam roll your legs for 5 to 20 minutes, for the 4 days following an intense workout, you can expect to perform 3.5% better than your peers that didn't roll out. So let me get this straight. 5 to 20 minutes gets me a 60% chance of improving by 3.5%. Yeah, sold. Yeah, I'll take it. I'm into it. 3.5% is statistically significant, let's not ignore that, but tell that to the hourglass in death's cold bony fingers as 5 to 20 minutes worth of sand filters from the top down into the bottom, never to return. If anybody's gonna be sympathetic about people wasting their lives on fruitless things, it's the Grim Reaper. It's not. It is not the Grim Reaper. And it should also be noted that only 1 out of the 7 studies looked at showed an improvement in sprint performance recovery, and only 2 showed an improvement in strength performance recovery. And again, the researchers find themselves wondering if the positive outcomes here are the result of an actual outcome, of an actual improvement, or somebody messed up in the research. 5 to 20 minutes for 60% chance of 3.5% improvement. I think I'm gonna keep my time. What about post-rolling for pain? Oh, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, the results on pain are actually pretty good. 66% of the population will experience decreased pain. So foam rolling does seem to be able to provide a good, non-chemical, non-surgical, non-invasive form of pain control, which is dope. The actual mechanism by which the pain is decreased is still unclear. Likely it's related to descending inhibitory pathways using the central gray matter opioid system and oxytocin. In layman's terms, the extra pain from the rolling triggers the brain to say, okay, that's enough, and then it shows up to the party with a fire extinguisher full of morphine and cuddle drugs and just hoses everything down. And the reason that that is useful, whether you're doing it before or after working out, is that pain reduces the ability to generate force in a muscle. By reducing one's pain, one increases their capacity for athleticism. And that's essentially it for this study. The authors of the study ultimately concluded that the effects of foam rolling on performance and recovery are rather minor and partly negligible. Ugh. That's not good. But it sounds about right. But Rob, there's so many claims you haven't even covered yet. Some people think that foam rolling your legs improves your balance. Foam rolling compared to what? How would rolling your legs on a piece of foam improve your balance in any meaningful way? Maybe your balance would be improved for a couple minutes afterwards, but it's not balance training and it's not strength training. And those are really the two things where if you want a gold standard way of improving your balance, like if you're like, I need to improve my balance, what am I gonna do? Should I do strength training, or should I do balance training, or should I roll my muscles on a tube of foam? Do you want the gold standard? You're gonna get stronger? Or do you want to basically not be serious about improving your balance? Now, I did find one research study that suggested you could use a foam roller to improve your range of motion with a standing forward reach test. The standing forward reach test is a test that we physical therapists use to easily determine a person's likelihood of falls. If foam rolling is going to improve someone's performance on the standing forward reach test, then one could conclude that foam rolling improves their balance. That's not conclusive in the slightest. It's suggestive, but it also begs a question, how long does that benefit last? Does that benefit last as long as the improvements in range of motion? If so, then I would say no, it doesn't improve your balance in any meaningful way. Some claim that using a foam roller is good for fibromyalgia. Listen, that's a stupid claim. And the reason that's a stupid claim is because fibromyalgia varies widely from person to person. The sensitivity and the severity can be all over the map. One person might tolerate it well, another person might not tolerate it well. And really it depends on who's using it and how they're using it. The same can be said about Zercher squats or an ice bath or a nice cup of chamomile tea. What feels like medicine to one person might be poison to another. There's some claims that using a foam roller improves circulation, increases arterial tissue perfusion, enhances delivery of nutrients and clearance of toxins from tissues. The research does show that using a foam roller does improve local tissue perfusion or blood supply or circulation. But you know what else improves circulation? Going for a walk. You know what else improves circulation? Doing a bunch of body weight squats. You know what else improves circulation? Rolling over in bed. So the question is, does foam rolling improve circulation any better than any other sort of like, we'll say, dynamic sports specific warm up? I doubt it. What about IT band syndrome? Is foam rolling good for IT band syndrome? Yeah, there's a little bit of research supporting using foam rollers for treating IT band syndrome. However, the research is kind of it's a little bit hit and miss. According to this study down below, you can roll out your IT band for 3 minutes and it'll make it less sensitive to direct pressure, so less pain with the same amount of poking. And that might let you do some slightly more effective rehab. However, they found that the decreased sensitivity in the IT band goes away after 5 minutes. So I hope you're really fast in the gym. Does foam rolling break down knots in your muscles? Who is talking like this? A knot in your muscle? It's not like a lump of tapioca. Do you really know what you would have to do to break down a knot in your muscle? You would have to pulverize it until it was Vietnamese meatball batter. And if you leaned into the foam roller hard enough to do that, first off, you'd end up with bruises, you'd ruin your muscle, and you'd go so far into rhabdomyolysis that you would literally hear your kidneys screaming for mercy. Ah, no more, stop! Listen up and listen good. Your muscles are not mushy goo. They're not the pink slime from Ghostbusters 2. You're not Stretch Armstrong or his nemesis, Vac-Man. Your muscles, your fascia, your tendons, your ligaments, your bones, none of those are fragile in any sense of the word. When you roll out on a foam roller, you're not plastically deforming your tissues. What do you think is applying more load to the fascia and the muscles of your body? Rolling out on a little foam roller down there, or back squatting several hundred pounds with a barbell across your upper traps for multiple repetitions. If muscles and ligaments and tendons and fascia were made out of the same kind of silly putty that proponents of foam rollers like to say they are, then back squats and deadlifts would always end the same, with dismemberment and blood and screaming. But they don't, because the human body is insanely tough. The people that like to tell you otherwise are the people that sell you fixes you don't need. They need you to think that you are fragile, that you are made out of silly putty. People like that make me sick. What you're doing with a foam roller is similar to what you're doing with stretching. When you subject a tissue to subtraumatic, calibrated stress and discomfort, the body responds, the nervous system gets involved, typically resulting in reduced pain, increased flexibility, and increased range of motion. And maybe a touch of euphoria. And that seems to be it. And that's enough. Let's summarize and sort back through this huge heap of sacred beef. What are foam rollers good for? They're good for temporarily reducing pain. They're good for temporarily improving range of motion and flexibility. They're good for improving local blood circulation. They can be helpful for IT band syndrome. They can make you feel all nice and stuff. They can make 58% of the population maybe run 0.7% faster. Maybe. Aside from that, nothing. Foam roller is a tool for your toolbox. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. I personally think foam rollers suck and that they're stupid. Do I own a couple of foam rollers? Yeah. Do I use them every once in a while? No. Why don't I ever use them? Because time is a finite thing and I don't want to waste it doing something that I don't enjoy and that doesn't provide me any benefit. Okay, good. That's it. That's all I got. You clear? You clear? You good? You good? We're happy? We're happy about it. We're happy. If you have a foam roller, are you still gonna use it? Did this presentation change your mind about foam rollers? Remember folks, I am in my office all day long and I am here to help. If you have any questions or comments for me, drop them down below. Otherwise, you can reach me via email or direct message, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And if there's a topic that you want me to cover, make a suggestion. I'm open to suggestions. Like I said, I'm here to help. I already have a couple of videos in the works. One on shoulder pain, one on cardiac health, one on postpartum. Stay tuned, y'all. Stay tuned. Until next time, folks, enlighten the mind, elevate the spirit, and make savage the body.
At this stage of things